Great. Yeah. So welcome to the digital engineering program, and congratulations for starting this program with us here in Weimar. Hi. Um, so my name is Jan Oliver Ringert, and I'm the head of digital engineering. So there are basically two professors who are kind of digital engineering professors. One is in the faculty of civil engineering, and the other one is in the faculty of media. So I'm the one in the faculty of media. So yeah, and both of them are on the committee that has selected and accepted all of you. So yeah, congratulations for that. We reviewed your applications. Hi.
Hi, computer science students here, they should put us HCR.
You're all digital engineering?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, so, but this is of course a big program and it's not run just by myself. There's also Matthias Artus, and he's the Fachstudienberater, so that's like the
Program guidance.
program guidance. And yeah, do you want to say a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm responsible if you have some questions mainly about subjects or specific to your program. For example, what's how to call it? First one you can contact, except maybe exam regulations. For the exam regulations, maybe you would ask to Nadine Glaser.
Yeah, so there's an examination office. It's called
Yes.
examination office, and they basically oversee. You have to register with them on what exams you take, what modules you are allowed to take. There are some modules, some things which you cannot take immediately. Most of them you can take immediately, but there are some restrictions. For example, we have some projects, and for those projects, you have to have passed your fundamentals, the stipulations that you have. These are usually 3 courses, but yeah, that's basically different responsibilities, different people, and this might be a bit difficult in the beginning, right? Because there are so many people involved. But we will point you in the right direction. So yeah, that's with this email address, you're going to reach Matthias and me. So this is a very
Not correct.
it's not correct.
It's media.uni. Sorry for correcting you.
No, great. Okay, this one.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, use this email address, but that's also the one on the website. So that's the one where you will reach the right people, and then we can point you in the right direction. And yeah, there's also another person I would like to introduce to you, and it's great that he is here. That's Chere. Can you maybe introduce yourself? So he's the student representative who sits on the examination board. So the examination board are the people who make important decisions about the program, how it works in terms of regulations and changes to regulations and exceptions to regulations, which might have to happen. And so he's the student representative there. And he's representing all of you and also all of the students from the other semesters. So he's the person to, let's say, talk to among students, and then he can bring in new insights from the students into the examination board. So do you want to introduce yourself as well?
First of all, welcome to Weimar for all of you. I hope this is going to be a great experience for you all. There is a group on WhatsApp. I shared the link in your specific intake group also. Please join the group. We'll pull down some polls. If necessary, you can also contact me for suggesting something if you anything other than lecture content, which falls under our responsibilities. And you should also check out the rules and regulations for the program, for your intake, and then afterwards contact me. Because if you don't check that out, I'll first ask you to check that out.
Yeah, that's also some very, very good advice. I'll also show you. I think I have a link on the slides where you can find those regulations. And it is often the case that maybe students, they don't read the regulations, or they read them only towards the end of their program, and then they are finding out, oh, I'm actually missing these requirements, so I can't finish my program in the time that I want to because I didn't read them on the first day. There are a few pages, 20 pages, something like that. So maybe it's a bit difficult to read them and understand them on the first day, but maybe look at them every semester to see whether you're on track. And each semester you will understand a bit more about these regulations. I think. Yeah.
One other thing, you're not now eligible to take part in any project, but I really advise you to go for the project fair today just to have an idea about the projects that are being offered by the professors. And just so you know, we are here equipped with really highly educated professors. But one thing you should have in mind is that in master's degree, you should educate yourself. The material is provided for you, but you should educate yourself. This might be the case for data structures and algorithm subject. You might not find all the necessary information in the classroom, but you have to do that yourself.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, I think we should probably all also have maybe another meeting after a few weeks just to catch up on what's all different, what's all new. I think we should probably organize one like that, right? We should organize a meeting with like in a month from now or 1.5 months, just an informal one, to catch up with all the challenges that you are maybe facing. I think that's probably a good idea to just have an informal one, like not like this formal, but just informal. Okay, so let's first start with some participation exercise. So if you have a mobile device, please go to this website now. It's completely anonymous. You don't have to log in, and you will see, well, a question there. So I will go through a few questions. There may be 4 questions, and now it's time to answer the first question. I'll bring that one up. No, which one? Yeah. So I guess, well, the URL is also here. The URL is the same for each question. You might have to refresh now and then to see the next question, but the first question would be, and I'm only showing new questions when this thing pops up, right? So the first question would be, what does Bauhaus mean to you? Not sure if you heard the word Bauhaus. Maybe some of you have heard about it. So it's really just short keywords. There'll be word cloud. So yeah, just do short answers. Yeah, now we have 8 answers. It's rearranging because it's arranging by frequency. So yeah, probably makes sense to read the biggest words right now. Yeah, university, of course. Yes, this is Bauhaus University, right? That's where you applied, Bauhaus-University Weimar. And let's see, knowledge. Yeah, architecture. So it's famous for architecture, also art. Yeah. Knowledge, new opportunities. That's great. Yes, we have lots of them, hopefully, and you're here for taking them, right? Design. How's people? Sorry.
Gropius.
Where's Gropius?
Right top right.
Yeah, of course. He's not here anymore, but you can see his office, right? That's the in the main building on the main campus. They I don't know if it's open all the time, the office, or only for city tours. But I mean, has anybody done a city tour yet? So there are different kinds of city tours offered. I think some cost money, some others maybe don't. So it's probably a good idea to do it when you have a bit of time. Do one of those city tours and have a look where they tell you a bit about the city also that you're now living in. Yeah. Okay, buildings, architecture related technology, city, civil engineering. Yeah, of course. Bauhaus movement. Yes, this movement of the whole idea of design, art, and craft and art, combining it. That's all something that is related very strongly to Bauhaus. So yeah, and basically when you're at this university, you can't get around Bauhaus. It's in the name, and it's also somewhat in the spirit. So some now and then you will see that people are, of course, doing maybe projects of preserving the Bauhaus heritage. We have, for example, some virtual reality replications of some of the architecture. This Haus am Horn, for example, you can visit it in virtual reality. That's what some groups here are doing. And of course, the university, we have this heritage about modern design, modern architecture, and we have basically also evolved over the last years, and we're not just architecture, not just design, although these are very big parts of the university, but there are 4 faculties at the university. Civil engineering and media, that's the 2 who have this digital engineering program joined. And then there's also arts, and there's architecture. And now and then we might also do some collaborations with them. And as you will see, based on your study program, you're actually able to take some of their lectures that they're offering. So you could even do a project with the arts people, maybe, if you wanted to, if you're really interested in that. So it's we try to be open here in this university. It's not in terms of number of people, we're not very big. So we try to kind of collaborate and get along nicely among the different disciplines, which you don't have in maybe other bigger universities where it's more difficult. But yeah. So yeah, all this was once invented here at Bauhaus-University Weimar, and you can see kind of the spirit lives on in some projects and some initiatives that we're doing. But yeah, you're maybe not here because of Bauhaus. Maybe that's a nice add-on, but you're here for the digital engineering master's program, right? And the key idea is it's an interdisciplinary course between the engineering people and the computer science people. So although there's a lot of maybe, for example, my area is software engineering. This has the name engineering, but you will actually see very soon that the kind of engineering that we have in software engineering is maybe different from the engineering that the engineers have. So who of you are engineers? Okay, great. Yeah. So you will see some parallels, some differences. Yeah, maybe that's also a good time to get the next question in. Let's lock this one. The countries. Well, that's the next bullet point. Okay, so let's continue and do the questions in the end. So it's a 2 years program. If you want to do it in 2 years, you have to really go for it. Take it very seriously. Plan it out well to be able to finish it in 2 years. It's possible, and of course, it's designed to do it in 2 years. But that's basically then a completely full-time job. So no other really jobs on the side, stuff like that. Who's planning to work somewhere part-time during the studies? Yeah, most people do. And then it's tricky maybe to get it done really in 2 years. It's maybe possible, but not as likely as if it's really full-time, right? And the program here is entirely in English. Many master programs at this university are taught in English. The bachelor programs usually all in German, but many of the master programs, not all, but most are in English. And we have, I think, 34% international students at the university. So that's really nice, and that's quite a high number, I think, for a German university. And I think it's because we started quite early with these English master programs, right? Because if it's a German master program, who would be able to attend a German master program? How's your German? Okay, so yeah. Good. Yeah, and what we're basically teaching is essential skills for Industry 4.0. That's some kind of German kind of term, but now has been carried around the world as well, where it's more about well, customizing the products, being faster to respond to change in engineering requirements, methods, and in the automation for industry. The focus is on civil engineering, but it's basically shared between yeah, engineering and computer science. And I think we have to update the module catalog. So you will see on the next few slides what kind of modules we're offering. So then you can kind of map them into the, well, engineering and the computer science. And we now made it a bit easier. So there are two main blocks, the engineering methods and the computer science methods. So yeah, and I'll give you an overview very soon. But now let's get back to the questions. So we have introduced ourselves a bit. Well, not everything, but let's publish this one. Just to check, what countries did you do your previous degrees in? Could be one country, could be more countries. Should be at least one country because all of you need at least a bachelor's degree, right? Some of you have also master degrees. In addition, who has master degrees in addition to bachelor's? Okay. Okay, these answers are coming in faster. Okay, so yeah, very popular seems to be India and Pakistan, Germany as well. So who has degrees from Germany? Okay, great. We also have some smaller representation here. Albania, great. Bangladesh, okay. Yeah, Turkey, great. Iran, Taiwan, and Colombia. Okay, great. Yeah, nice. So we have a good mix. Some, well, kind of dominant countries here, but well, I mean, in terms of population size, right? We that just, yeah, there's just so many people that if I don't know 1% of them comes here, then then yeah, okay, great. So yeah, also I saw most of you raise your hand when I asked about engineering, but maybe what kind of engineering, right? Because there's a huge variety in engineering, and in general, I think we accept people from most engineering backgrounds and most, let's say, computer science related backgrounds, right? So that's where we see what kinds of engineering degrees do you have. So let's open that. Okay, computer science is getting smaller. It's okay, so it looks like we have a lot of civil engineering. Maybe not a surprise, but yeah. Then we also have maybe the next one, mechanical. Great. Yeah. Well, yeah, actually more mechanical than just this one. Architectural engineering. Okay, great. Computer science. Who are the computer science people? Okay. Yeah, great. So I think in the beginning did we have a stronger representation of computer science, or was it always
all time
yeah,
that we had
more
more
engineering?
engineers,
Okay.
many civil engineers, and many mechanical engineers. It's
Yeah,
also the
okay.
same in the application process.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's move on. So yeah, also our focus will be on civil engineering. Yeah, the professions and careers. So there's of course this huge area of Industry 4.0. But I think what will really make you stand out after your graduation is that you can actually live between the two worlds of computer science and engineering, right? Because you have some engineering background, some computer science background, and usually if, let's say, a purely computer science person and a purely engineering person, if they try to do a project together, which they have in real life, right? In industry, you have to, there are usually differences in communication. Maybe they don't understand each other. They don't understand the concerns. They don't understand what this project is about, what the other person is thinking, how the other person works. So you're really filling a really important gap there, and I think that's great part of this program. So of course there's a lot of, let's say, uh, interaction where you have model managing in industry, also analysis, and scientists in engineering. They require basically both. You need to understand the engineering domains, but maybe also the computer science methods, so that you know what to apply and how to actually maybe even ask the computer science people to do the right thing for the right project, right? And that's where you guys will be in the intersection, guiding this process. Yeah, consultant, or you could even just go, well, say, I want to be really software developer. So maybe you want to work in more, let's say, automotive engineering, self-driving cars, or robotics, where it's still engineering related, but and you need engineering knowledge because it's very difficult for, let's say, a pure computer scientist to, I don't know, program robots if they don't have any knowledge about the physics and stuff behind it. But yeah, you could also shift here more software development. So we had some graduates which started with an engineering background and then they went to work in some banks to do data analysis, right? So they kind of shifted more into maybe research or data analysis positions, which are not so close to engineering, because banks usually yeah, it's not really purely engineering, right? It's more computer science over there. But also there are lots of people who do internships and apply for jobs or get jobs in, let's say, automotive supplier companies that do all kinds of things, embedded systems maybe, but also just, again, maybe data analysis, or of course in the civil engineering area as well. So many options there. One thing about the project that was already mentioned before is we have these projects in the program. So you will do one of these research projects. Usually it's a group project, so the groups could be different sizes. What we usually do in my group is maybe 5 people in one project, but there are some which are larger, maybe 8 people or maybe even 10 people, and then they subdivide it differently. But the idea is to work with other students to see how would it really be in real life, in industry, when you have to work with team members. And there's a lot of, let's say, responsibility on you. You have a task, you have a project description, maybe you even have to figure out what methods are you going to use, right? So the professor or the supervisor tells you, I want you to achieve this at the end of this semester, and then you have to figure out how. And then after figuring out how, of course, they will guide you. You will have some meetings, probably weekly meetings. And you get, of course, guidance, but in the end, after this one semester, you have to have some results. And you can have a look at these kind of projects that are advertised. So they'll be advertised today at 5 at the Audimax. That's, well, where the library is, at the kind of basement there. Who has been to the Audimax before? At the university library, you know? Yeah. Okay. So that's where the project fair will be. You can join this now. You will not be able to choose projects right now because the project fair will always be at the beginning of the semester, and it will present all the projects that are running this particular semester. So it's for the students who are eligible for projects. They can then apply for projects. And does it say here what you need to do to be eligible? No, well, I can tell you, you need to have passed your fundamentals. So that's why this research project is usually in the second year. So these are the semesters. In your first year, first semester up here, the idea is you start either one fundamental or two fundamentals, but you should really try to get the fundamentals done in the first two semesters. And the tricky bit with the fundamentals is that some fundamentals are only offered in the first semester and some only in the second. So then they would also repeat only again first, second, or summer, winter, right? So you have to check which ones are offered right now, and then you probably take all the ones that are offered right now, or one of them at least, and then check what's offered next semester and then take that. So this is the overview of the curriculum, and you see some boxes which are all labeled the same way, for example, engineering methods and computer science methods. And they're all labeled the same way because you can basically pick the ones that best suit your interest. You can pick some right now, this semester, you should pick some that you want to take. And then next semester, you can pick again others. And those are the main blocks that you basically have to fill. Some credits. Each block of this is usually 6 credits. So this means you probably have 2 hours of lecture, 2 hours of exercise per week, maybe some homework. And then the idea is that you get 5 of these 6 credit modules done each semester. And then after the first 2, after you have successfully passed the fundamentals, you can apply for one of those projects, and then do this project. You can then start the initial research for your thesis, and then you can register your thesis. And the idea is that in your final semester, you can mainly focus on the thesis. So here, when it says engineering methods or computer science methods, doesn't really mean that you have to do one computer science method module in the first semester. So you can basically decide when you want to do those and where you want to put them. So I don't know, you could do all the maybe stipulations and then all the engineering stuff, and then maybe in the end do the computer science stuff. Or you start with the computer science stuff. That's up to you how you arrange that. There are some modules where it probably makes sense to have passed the fundamentals. So it might be a bit difficult to do an advanced module without having completed the fundamentals. So yeah, that's the general overview of the curriculum. And here are some details. So these fundamentals usually have 3 of them. So every person here should have 3 fundamentals or 3 stipulations that they have to take. And that's usually from a degree that they did not previously do, right? And for example, most with engineering backgrounds, you'll probably have algorithms and data structures, right? And you'll probably have software engineering. So who has software engineering? Great. I will see you next week on, I think, Tuesday is when we start. So because I'm the one teaching the software engineering as well. And the lectures, they will start next week. But that's important. It's not like that for every module. So some professors, they decide, well, I want to start teaching already this week. And then they might already have meetings this week. Some decide, yeah, I want the students to settle in a bit, and we start teaching next week. But basically, there is no global agreement in this university when we start. So officially, start of the lectures was yesterday. The welcome is today. So many people decided, let's start the master's lectures next week. And some of them are indicated in the timetable, but not all of them. So you will find on Moodle the courses. You can sign up there, and then you will see what they announce as the first date of the first meeting. Yeah.
We have to sign in Moodle or in Bison?
The Bison login is later for your examination, mainly. And in Moodle, the professors and lecturers often provide material information.
So the important thing for getting started is the Moodle pages. Usually it's like some kind of self-enrollment, but you apply for it and then you wait until somebody accepts you for the class, and then you can see what they offer. So for example, you might sign up for multiple courses on Moodle just to check out how are they organized, what are the meetings, what's the materials, and then you can go to the initial meetings, and then you can still decide, do you want to do it this semester or do you want to do it, well, next year maybe, because usually most modules are offered on a yearly basis. So that's everything you have this semester. Often it repeats in 2 semesters from now. That's not like that for every module, but most of them do this. And the fundamentals, they definitely do this. So the fundamentals, they are like somewhat safe, that they will happen every 2 semesters. Yeah.
Algorithms and data structures and software engineering are being offered in this semester, right?
Let's have a look here. So this is everything that is offered this semester that belongs into these blocks.
Yeah.
So for example, the F ones, they are the fundamentals. So algorithm data structures, yeah, that's offered this.
I have a question. They have a collision, right?
Yeah, the overlap here is because they are both exercise. They are not happening regularly. So only for that exercise for something.
Yeah, so the problem is that you have these blocks where you can choose from a lot. So that's why it's impossible to avoid collisions, right? Often what they do is they put the fundamentals with a bit more advanced modules where they are hoping.
Friday, on Friday, there's software engineering and algorithm data structures, both are fundamentals. The algorithm data structures are exercises. However, these are done every 2 weeks.
But these are done every week.
Yeah, I know, but that's the problematic collision here.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm sorry.
Is the exercise for software engineering happening every week?
Yeah.
But it's not the exercise.
It's changed a bit since you took it. We changed so we're now meeting every week because we have changed this the exercises a bit. So they are happening every week. Maybe we should check.
We will take it. We will take that problem and we will have a discussion about it.
Yeah, but usually it's extremely difficult to change those things. So I hope we'll find a solution. Yeah. But basically, you should have a look at this schedule. This was also sent around on the mailing list. And then you can decide which ones to go to. I'm not sure what's the best strategy about algorithm data structures and software engineering. But yeah, probably in the beginning, maybe go to both and then decide. You can also do both. Yeah. Will be difficult with the exercises, right?
If there's another exercise from Professor Dietrich.
Yeah, we will.
We have to verify.
Yeah, we will check if there will be any changes. If there are changes to something like that, then we would update the website, but also maybe send an email on the mailing list. So hopefully you are on the mailing list. If you enrolled after April 2nd, so let's say maybe yesterday you enrolled, then you're not on the mailing list yet. So there is a contact that you have to ask to be added to the mailing list. So this mailing list is quite important because important announcements will be sent over this mailing list. So for example, if somebody offers a module that is maybe not here yet, they might send it on the mailing list. Or all the defenses of master thesis, they're usually open to the university public, which means that you can already see what kind of final projects are people doing. And you can even, if you say that's a really interesting one, you can even come and join the defense to see how what the people did in their master's project. Okay, and those things will be announced on the mailing list. Another thing that will be on the mailing list is the academic English courses, because for those you don't sign up on Moodle. You have to register with the person who is teaching those. That only applies to the academic English ones that are these two here. There are other language classes. You have to register with them in the language center. So some language stuff you do in the language center. These academic English ones that are in our timetable, there'll be an email sent to you probably next week how to sign up. Yeah, and all these other ones, they're probably on Moodle and Bison, and you can see how to enroll into those to get the materials. So who has talked to people who are already studying digital engineering here? Yeah, that's usually people. I mean, maybe now you haven't yet because you haven't met all of them, but at some point you will meet them, and then you can ask them. And there are some, let's say, some advice, some word of mouth, how don't take this module, or maybe this module is nice, or this module is difficult, or here this generative software engineering. Some people said, oh, it's so difficult, so many people failed, and then I'm teaching that one. Actually, it was only 1/3 of the students who failed, so it was not that bad. It was, yeah.
So can we take software and generative software parallel?
Yes, you can take it in parallel. Yeah.
Is that advised?
It depends. If you've never heard about software engineering, it's probably a good idea to first take the general software engineering and then the generative a bit later. I think would make a bit more sense to understand a bit more about the, let's say, complexities that we're addressing in this. It's a kind of specific way of creating software. So it's probably a good idea to have a general overview and then take that one.
There is another course, Advanced Topics in Software Engineering.
Yeah, that's a seminar. So there's also stuff like seminars where you will, so then that's not 6 credits. So, and this is not in the computer science methods block. So this could be an elective. It's a 3 credits elective, and it also has weekly meetings. And there we're going to look at some research papers to see what is the current research in software engineering doing. So probably that's also better to take after you've taken the more introduction to software engineering. But of course, if you have a computer science background, feel free to take it, right? Yeah. Sometimes it happens that some people with a computer science background, they even get the software engineering as a stipulation. Did this happen to anyone? Yeah, it's kind of like the default to make sure everybody's on the same page. Maybe this module will be some kind of repetition. Maybe it will be very easy for you, but still, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page there, you will have to attend it. And it usually helps, I would say.
It's also the reason that often that you only have, for example, 3 credit points for software engineering, and this is a 6 credit points module, so it's also a bit more content of software engineering.
Yeah.
With the academic English, there is no classes to have to attend. It's just you get some homeworks and you upload them on Moodle. And if you have, if the rules doesn't change, then you want to do your thesis, you gotta either provide a TOEFL or IELTS examination, just that's expensive. So the alternative would be to pass the 2, and you can take them from alternative. It doesn't matter if you take academic English part 1 this semester or 2. And another thing, for most of our subjects, we have to have assignments during the semester to get admitted for the examination. So if you do pass the assignment, you have the exam admission for even next semester. You can keep it for next semester.
Yeah, so that's about the language classes. Yeah, that's the first bullet point here. So there are some language requirements for your master thesis. So basically, when you want to finish this program, you have to complete these requirements. So, for example, you need to have the English C1, which you could, if you already have it and you have an up-to-date proof that you have it, then you can hand that in there. The problem is that these English language certificates, they expire after some time. I think after 2 years or something like that. So I'm not sure if, let's say, you have one that expires in 1 year, whether you could now provide proof at the examination office that you have level C1. No?
Yeah.
No, doesn't?
That's something you would have to clarify with Nadine.
Yeah,
I've
maybe
heard
check
something
that.
like
I
normal-
think someone mentioned computer science program
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
and alumnus.
But that's another. The problem is we have regulations for each and every program, and so
Yeah.
you can not directly rely on information from other programs. The best thing would be to clarify this with Nadine.
Yeah.
Nadine Glaser. Also not trustable. I have heard the same thing for digital engineering. If you have applied with already C1 English, you don't have to do English again, as far as I remember. But again,
Yeah.
the
So
important instance is Nadine Glaser at that point.
yeah, and the thing is, if you, let's say, wait for 2 years from now, and then you really want to finish your degree, and then you go with an expired certificate, it's probably going to delay your studies. So don't do that. Don't wait until the last minute, have expired documents, and then maybe have to retake some academic English or something, right? So it's best to check these things now. And if you already have that level, check it now in the examination office, whether they can already, I don't know, put it on your file that you have it. I'm not sure if this works or if you have to prove it at the time of taking the registration for the thesis. I mean, that's probably something to check, right? Something important to check, right? But yeah, so that's something just to keep in mind, to not get blocked on your last steps to your graduation, right? I mean, it could potentially mean that you need to extend your studies, which would not be nice, or last minute do another test and pay some money for it, right? So there are better ways. For example, these language courses, these the ones, the academic English ones, there'll be an email, I think, next week, and then you can sign up for those. Yeah, the general workload, you're expected to do 30 credits per semester, so that's about 5 modules. And then your stipulations, you should finish them within the first 3 semesters. So it's a good idea to start right now. And because they will also block your project, right? For example, so you should definitely start with the stipulations right now. And they also need to be completed before the project can start. And you need to complete this research project before the master's project can be registered. And there's also something called the preparatory research. So what happens is when you want to take a master thesis topic, you go around. By then, you know many of the professors. So you go to them and you say, well, this is my interest. I know that you're working in this. Is there a topic that matches like your interest and my interest? So don't send an email to every single professor in digital engineering and say, I'm a great student. Give me a thesis topic, right? They'll probably not even respond to that. If you send an email to, and even not a one where you, let's say, copy and paste the name of every single professor to make it look more personal. If I get emails like that, and they don't say what the student did, like what did you do, what modules did you hear with me, what is it that you would want to do that you heard maybe in my lectures or that interests you about my work, that's the best thing you can do. Because yeah, everybody gets lots of emails, and if you know that somebody only put 1 minute of effort in an email, not even thinking about, do I really want to do a thesis project with this person? Yeah, many people will not respond. sometimes even if you put a lot of effort, people might not respond. Then you can send nice reminders or meet them somewhere at one of the lectures or something. That's also sometimes helpful to do. So and basically when you get a topic from some person suggested, you will do some initial research. That's also here in this curriculum here. So that's basically this kind of initial research, which already has some credits attached to it. But usually it spans also over the whole semester, right? You do maybe a few hours per week where you look up the topic, then you talk again to the potential supervisors and say, yeah, that's my understanding. Maybe we can spin it in this way or something. So that's what this initial research is about. And once that is completed, you can then register the final master's project. And that thing is 8 weeks, I think. So that's basically, if you started in one semester and you want to defend it in the same semester, you need to start it early in that semester so that you submit, then have it reviewed by 2 examiners, and then you can defend the thesis. And then, that's usually the final thing to do. And then you're done with the program. So, well, 2 years from now, something like that, right? Okay, so these were some advice on these regulations, and this is really important. These study and exam regulations. Probably safe. So they're listed somewhere here. I think there are different intakes. So maybe you have people who start at different regulations. They will finish at their regulations usually, unless they apply to change to another regulation. So right now, the majority of students is on this 2019 regulation, simply because they arrived here between 2019 and now. And a few students are on the 2023 regulations. So you're all on the 2023 regulations. And the first ones on the 2023 regulations are the ones that arrived last semester. And before that, they still have these old regulations. So sometimes you see some differences. And it's important that you look at the regulations that are for your intake. But usually the differences are not that huge, but there might be differences, right? So, and then you have the study regulations and the examination regulations. You have English versions, but usually these English versions, they're not the legally binding ones. So the legally binding ones are the German ones, because the courts and everything here, are in German. And if there are any things to clarify, just ask us. Here it would list all kinds of regulations, like who can do examinations, who can do modules, stuff like that. The length of, let's say, the presentation of your master thesis defense, the length of oral examinations. There's some minimum that you can, let's say, request for. So if you do an oral examination and they kick you out after 2 minutes, I think that's probably, you can then say, no, the study regulations say I have at least, 20 minutes or something like that, right? Depending on the number of credits of the thing that you're being examined on, right? Things like that. And the repetition of module examinations, that's also something. If you, let's say, fail a partial examination or a full examination, most of them are full examinations. So you either submit a project or you do an exam, and then you have to repeat it. Let's see where it says you're obliged to repeat the failed examination within a maximum of 2 semesters. Usually, it also said that you have the right to repeat it the next semester. But then the modalities of the examination might change, right? So, for example, it might be a written exam in the semester where the module is taking place. And then the next semester, depending on how many students failed, it might only be an oral exam because maybe only 2 people want to retake the exam, then it will be an oral examination, because for 2 people, it's very difficult to calibrate a written exam. And then what you can usually do is you can also do it in the next iteration of the module, right? So you could just wait 1 semester, but maybe you don't want to. And then you have usually the right to do it exactly the next semester. And then in the regulations, it also says here, yeah, for the repeat of required modules, so these are those fundamentals or your stipulations, then it should take place in the same semester as the repeat examination, so your second attempt. But this is usually very, very challenging for the students, and we might make exceptions from this. So the examination committee can decide on exceptions. So let's say at the beginning of the examination period, you write an exam, you fail, you do your other exams, hopefully you pass them, and then you're told, well, now we have the results of the exam, you failed. Do you want to come in for an oral exam next week? Because soon the semester is over. Then usually you probably want to ask for an exception and say, well, I prefer to do it next semester instead of right away. Because that's, yeah, unless you're really confident. Okay, so these regulations, yeah, have a look at them now and then. It's only 13 pages. Yeah, but a lot of the things, they might not concern you right now, right? They might be a bit too much into the future, but you should know that there are these kind of regulations, and that we, as the examination committee, are also bound to these regulations. So if you want to do something different, we usually cannot, or we cannot make exceptions unless there are really, really good reasons, because we can't decide as the committee to, kind of go against these regulations. These regulations are also checked by the 2 faculty councils. So they are like the governing, like the small parliament of each faculty. So civil engineering and media. So they have to agree to every change to this thing. And then the Senate, I think, also has to agree to changes to this thing. So that's why we cannot just take some of these out of effect, right? We can't say, yeah, let's ignore this point. So
also good news for you, because with that sheet of paper, you know what you have agreed to, and you can also insist on it. So that's just a communication, way of communication, where we say, this is what you can rely on, and that's it.
Yeah, but this doesn't mean that we cannot do any exceptions whatsoever. There are some cases where it makes sense to do exceptions. Let's say some illness prevents you from, I don't know, doing your some like these repeat examinations, and you then cannot do your fundamentals within the first 3 semesters. This would mean your program will be terminated, right? And that's bad. So then you should apply for an exception. And usually an exception will be granted, and you probably get an extension of the 3 semesters that you would have to finish the fundamentals. So stuff like that, check it with the examination office. And then you have to write like an application to the examination office, and this will then be decided by the head of the degree program or by the examination committee, depending on how complicated the case is. Okay. Yeah, and one important thing is if you don't go to an exam for whatever reason, but you registered for it, try to get a sick note, right? Or if you are sick and you cannot attend something for a longer period of time, make sure you get a written statement from a doctor about this. So try to find some doctor, which is not easy, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe there are some doctors who are very open to taking students, but as a normal person moving to Weimar, it's difficult to find a doctor, a GP. So I moved to Weimar 2 years ago, and it took maybe half a year or a year to find a GP because they usually are busy, and I hope as students it's easier.
They don't take in new patients.
So it's the same.
Yeah, but the doctor at M14, they will actually need to go for the physical.
Okay. So yeah. So yeah, ask the people with experience, and they can tell you how to get thick notes and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Great.
That actually is not a good thing, because they are really patient. Students going there just for keep going. It's like
Yeah, I mean, don't just get sick notes because you want to skip an exam, right? There are better ways. So you can usually up to 4 days before the exam, you can still deregister. And even if you don't find somebody personally in the examination office, send them an email. The email will have some kind of timestamp on it, right? It says you sent this email at this point of time. And even if they don't respond immediately, if the regulations say that you are on time 4 work days before the examination, then everything is fine. Okay, great. But sometimes it happens that you fall sick on the day of the examination or the day before, and then in those cases, of course, you need your doctor's note. Yeah. Then there are some other links. There's some thing about computer science courses. Some of the courses in the computer science methods, for some reasons, they are shared with other degree programs, right? They might also be taken between computer science for digital media master students. So you will maybe take modules with them. And then depending on the degree program, they might offer 4.5 credits, but you need 6 credits to make these things worthwhile. So maybe there'll be some cases where you have to do, I don't know, 3 additional questions on the exam or something like that to get the 6 credits. But this is really maybe a historic thing. So now all the current enrolled degree programs, they have the 6 credits. It just might be that there are some students from older programs who had the 4.5. And yeah, then don't be confused, but know that for you, you need 6 credits. And if there are any doubts, just ask the person teaching the module. Okay, and yeah, we will probably run this kind of feedback meeting.
The PhD degree has to be removed.
Oh,
Not yet.
I thought it was already. Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So we'll probably have another meeting, like more informal, to catch up with you. And I think that's the last important thing. Check your university email regularly, because that's registered on this mailing list, where you might get some important information.
One addition to that, we have several professors that will not respond to you if you don't use your university mail. So if you write to professor, if you write anything regarding your studies here in Weimar, and so on, use your university mail address, not your private.
Yeah, so there's some, like, for example, if it's something about your studies, I think we shouldn't answer to private email addresses, just because it could be fake, and then we would risk some data protection issues. So in general, use your university email address, then you hopefully get responses. Okay, and if you enrolled after April 2nd and you're not on the mailing list, or you enrolled before that but you are not on the mailing list, then ask the secretary, please, to put you on the digital engineering mailing list. So be specific which mailing list you need to be on. It's the digital engineering one, because they probably get requests from the other master programs as well. So just make sure that you ask them for the right thing, that it's only one email, and not that they have to ask you, which one do you need to go on, and stuff like that, right? Okay. Are there any questions right now?
The classes are actually starting from next Monday, right?
Yeah, this depends on the class. So some are starting on Monday, some might already start this week.
I would recommend, if you don't know, if you don't get the information, go to the classes this week, and if there are no professor or nobody appears, don't care, then they maybe start next.
Yeah. So I know many of the civil engineering, they like traditionally start in the next week. In the computer science, it depends. But usually if you sign up on the Moodle page, you will see some information on when is the first meeting, or yeah. Sometimes also in the schedule it says it. So, but not everybody communicates this, so that's why I can't say it for all of them. So here, for example, it says, this one starts today, right? And then some other ones here, yeah, that's Friday, so that's next week Friday, or the software engineering here that starts next, yeah, Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
The general process to enroll to a subject is go to Moodle, look for the subject, and enroll in Moodle. Yes.
But there's no really enrollment here at the university. You can also simply go to the lecture and attend the lecture.
Okay.
There's the only enrollment that you have is for the examination at the end of the semester.
I just have to go to the subject. So we don't
But if you want to see the information on Moodle, you have to kind of enroll in the course.
That's also possible, but I would recommend to use Moodle.
just to access the content, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe you have to submit homeworks to be admitted to the exam. And then that homework submission will be on Moodle. Yeah.
Yes.
The professor has to give us access to the Moodle platform for the subject. Yes.
Yes, yes. So for example, in some of the modules, I have, I don't know, 40 students in the Moodle room and 10 in the class. Then maybe I get 20 homework submissions. So I know that 20 students are somehow following the class, but only 10 are there in person, which is not advised. And then in the end, half of them fail the exam. But yeah, so basically, you always have people on Moodle who just want to look at the materials and who don't even submit the homework because they just want to check in the beginning of the semester, is this for me or not? And then they just stay there and have access to the materials, but they're not real participants, right? So this happens a lot, and that's what students do. So yeah, just do the same. Check on Moodle what everything looks like, whether you're interested, and yeah, decide to stay or not. Yeah.
And if we have to check the prerequisites for any specific module.
Yeah, they might be in the module handbook, which we will
Which we have to
update. Yeah.
That's already, the new handbook is already there. We mainly have to upload it. I only need your confirmation, then I can upload it.
Yeah, so we will upload that in the next days, so that you can see in the descriptions, but also on Bison it might list the requirements. Yeah, I think on. Yeah, I think in the Bison system you will also see the prerequisites. Yeah. Yeah, many of them they don't have any, but some.
The previous one, is that valid? The previous handbook, module book.
It's a bit different.
Some might be outdated. Some of them like might have different materials, or maybe some modules are yeah, split up into other modules, so the names might change, right? So, but if you of course find these lecture names in the old handbook, then probably it's valid. But I think like the traffic simulation stuff, this was not in the old module handbook. That's a recent addition by the professor. So yeah, that's why you wouldn't find all of them. But in Bison, you usually find all of them.
Another big difference in the new module handbook is that there are only two categories of modules. You have computer science and engineering methods. And the second big thing is that we have these profile lines.
Yeah.
The profile lines, these are the major differences in the two handbooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, we don't have to officially register to any module. We just have to attend the lectures. And
No, actually, you have to register on Moodle as many courses as you want. Okay, but it doesn't mean that whatever you have in Moodle, you have to go for it.
Yeah. So the
you have to register in Hobby and Moodle. In Moodle, register as many you want. And for those that they have limited space, limited seats for the class, only otherwise, keep them. So you can have access to the.
Yeah, so there are some special modules where they have limited places because maybe it's limited on hardware, like maybe some virtual reality projects or something. They have some limited hardware, or then the spots are limited, so you need to check how they do it because everybody does that based on what's possible for them. But yeah, register on Moodle. There's no commitment for registering on Moodle. You can then register on Moodle even if you don't submit the homework there. Doesn't matter. Nobody will blame you. And if you want to take part in the examination in the end, then you have to register on Bison, sign up for a specific exam on Bison. So that's the one, then the binding one, where you have, let's say, those 4 days before 4 work days before the examination that you can still deregister. But those things are, somewhat important. And they will be announced in the modules themselves, where they tell you this is how we're going to assess the final result. So whether it's based on maybe 20% homework and 80% exam, or 100% exam, or 100% project. This is always what the people will usually tell you in the first meeting, and it's often also written on Bison or in the module handbook.
Is it possible to enroll in a course just to access the contents?
Yes, yeah.
The exam later on.
Yes, you can enroll in as many courses as you like.
There is a condition that you have to pass the assignments or the projects for some courses.
Often, so some courses, they make it mandatory to have a certain amount of points or just a pass fail in the homework.
They don't have the required past assignments, right?
Yeah,
And
then you cannot be registering for the exam. So if you haven't passed the assignments, then you can't register for the exam. I mean, you can, but it will be an invalid registration, and they can,
then I have to enroll again later on.
So the enrollment in Moodle is just like a virtual thing that doesn't have any consequences. Once you have passed the assignments, usually keep the admission to the exam.
But what if I fail them?
If you fail the exam, then you also keep the admission to the exam, and you can retake the exam again. If you fail the
Assignments, but I want to keep the course enrolled. Is it possible?
Yeah, that's possible. You can keep the course enrolled just to see the materials.
Refresh every year.
Ye-
So I'll have to wait for 2 years to contest the assignments again.
No. Usually it's every 2 semesters, right? So if you do now in the summer semester, you take something, you don't get the admission to the exam, you can take it next summer semester again. Yeah. And then, there are some, of course, if the, let's say, homework assignments are some component in your exam, then the question is whether it's a partial component that will be registered at the examination office, or whether it's a component that will be mixed into the exam, because then you might have to retake them the semester where you take the exam. Some people, they give bonuses for students who are really, really good on homework. And those bonuses, they will only work usually in the semester where you achieved the bonus. They will only be added to the exam if you pass it in that semester. If you fail the exam, usually the bonus will be gone. So then if you want the bonus again, you would have to do the homework again to get the bonus also for the second attempt of the exam. Those are rules that you would have to check with the person teaching the module. Yeah.
I have a request. Can you guys look into the class test? Because if it is not addressed, it would be impossible to complete the degree at 2 years.
Well, I mean, you can still, because you have 3 semesters to pass the fundamentals, right?
Yeah. Then
But of course, we will look at this. Yeah, we will look at this. It's a really bad clash there, right? It's not a nice clash. Yeah. So we will have a look if there's any possibility to change it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
Okay, if the clash over there is harmful in code, I really suggest you use sentence for software engineering. Algorithms might not be not the standing algorithm. The problem, don't get the problem. The computer is very well known. The problem is the development of the knowledge.
Okay. It was far away enough to not be recorded. Yeah.
That here for the assignments, it's kind of collaboration, but it's really better if you don't make a group of 20 and take every assignment with the same people. And it's better where it's important for each.
Okay. Are there any other really urgent questions right now? Because there is a meeting right now of all the new master students, and it's downstairs on the ground floor in the student lounge. So it's probably a good idea to go there right now and see who the other people are, because you might come across them now and then in some of these lectures. Yeah.
Last question. So the only way that we have to know that we pass, for example, software engineering software subject, if we pass the exam, we enroll the exam and we pass. Like the only way to like fulfill this subject. Yes.
Yes. So the way to basically complete subjects and get the mark is that you sign up for the exam, you pass the exam. Or if it's based on a project, that you submit the project and pass the project. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then I think
One
it's
last
now.
sidekick
Yeah.
from our professorship, advanced building information modeling and simulation methods will also start next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, thanks everyone for attending. Again, congratulations for starting this program here. And yeah, now is a good time to go downstairs and meet the other students.